control initialized.
Hello there, comrades and cannon fodder, it's Dvoid here. I've got 1v1 multiplayer on Scorched Earth for you. I'm using France, my opponent's using Russia, and I'm still sticking with the Allies for the time being, because to get any good with them, I need to, practice with them on a more consistent level than I have in the past. So I'm still working on the Allies, and that's France, mainly. So this was the first game of the day when I played this. It was, I remember. Let's see. Yeah, I did say I got time for a quick game, but I didn't have long, and it was, like I say, it was the first game of the day as well, so I was just letting my opponent know that just a quick game, basically. That's all I've got time for. So this is the oil capture phase, early phase. My opponent's building up some troops, look. And we're both just sending some units out just to investigate what's going on my opponent's side. And this rifleman is here like this to try and catch an engineer out. That's what he's taking this route for, because his engineer, look, is just arriving. So if I was doing the same thing, he would have timed that very well. And as it was, his timing was pretty good, because he nearly set off. And these guys have to protect my engineer as he makes his way here, because my opponent could have put a group of rifles here, for example. So I am escorting that engineer, but they were ahead. So my opponent nearly caught him out like that, even though he didn't catch him out in the way he was hoping to, because he'd gone to attack my engineer as if it was the same timing as his. Which, it's not a bad idea at all, because players tune themselves to a good sort of standard and do things in the right way, and it often leads to similar play styles and similar builds and things. But now I will have seen these guys, so that's why I've turned back. I was hoping to catch his base or destroy a power plant, but I saw him with the view range of my oil derrick, look. So I've engaged him, I've taken out his engineer, and I've caught his rocket troops. Now that was crucial, because I caught out his rocket troops as they were catching up. So he's only got one rocket soldier now. And we're both just about to produce our first vehicle, and we're both very close in placing our third refinery as well. But I've chosen a light tank because I always choose the armoured option for my first scout vehicle. My opponent's gone for a flak truck, and I would always choose an APC rather than a flak truck when I'm Soviets. I just always do, because it's armoured, so it can stand up to rifle fire, the APC. It can transport your engineer safely to the oil derricks. It can run over the enemy and squash them. None of this, the flak truck can't do any of that. Now I'm under attack here at my oil derrick, but I'm not responding to that. I don't want him to control the game, and if he's busy with an oil derrick, then fair enough, I'm thinking, I'll hit him. And yeah, the flak truck, and it can be used later on, but I think you can produce flak trucks in a small group very quickly later on, so that having uses later on isn't as much value as having an APC which can do Gren drops and at any point in the game, which is useful later on. So it's just the APC's better. But here we go, my opponent will be in low power there, and his forces are coming back from attacking my oil derrick, and I decide to just go for this. His flak truck's irrelevant, and the ore truck could have crushed more than that, but I'm using my light tank for screening, because I do know that I'd killed some of his rocket troops. Now he's in low power, he's lost his construction yard, that's it, he's called it. So that was just the quick game that I was hoping for. So that suited me. I'll just go through the army graph and that quickly. There's, you're not going to see much. It was a 4-minute, 25 seconds till it was over. So these charts aren't going to show much, but I've still got my light tank and 5 rocket troops. So for this point in the game, it's not a bad finishing army. to be fair. But like I say, these stats and stuff, they're not going to tell you much. It's a short game, and this can happen to any player. You can soon just make a single little mistake that leads to your opponent catching you out like that. It can happen to anyone. So, like I say, it won't be much. Sorry about that. Someone walked past the front. The dog doesn't like it. Benji, settle down, little boy. It's alright. Don't you worry, everyone knows who you are by now. Sorry about that, viewers. There was nothing I could do about it. But there's the basics information. And I'll move to another replay because that was a short one. So I'll move straight on to another one for you. Go to this one. And it's actually on Scorched Earth map myself as well. And I'm using France because it's allied training, and my opponent's using France as well. But I didn't know who I was up against. I just saw that name and didn't realise I didn't know anything else. So that's all I saw and thought it was some, just, you know, any old player. So, you know, I didn't really have my wits about me, sadly. But I'm still, like I say, I'm determined to improve and practice with allies, so I was focusing, and I thought, this game, I'll try a little bit of aggression or something. I was thinking, just give it a go, because I'm thinking, without my usual tools, like my grenadier drop with the Soviets, and things like that, I mean, that's a very useful tool I can use. I don't have that with the allies, so I think a little bit of early aggression is a way just to, you know, hinder the enemy a little bit and, you know, interfere with their build order, slow them down a little bit. And because I haven't got a Gren drop, I've come to the conclusion that with allies, a little bit of early aggression, as long as I don't overcommit, will make up for me not having my Gren drop and stuff. There's the engineer. I was very close there. It was a shame I didn't get him with that. But I'm building rocket troops now. I've got my usual rifle guards placed, but these guys are going to investigate, see what's going on. So he sold his barracks to kill that guy quickly, so I suppose that stops him seeing... it stops me getting any intel, but selling the barracks means he can't produce... he can't produce infantry, obviously. He can't produce base defences. So that is very strange. I didn't... when I saw him sell that... Was it... I don't know. It couldn't have been a fake, could it? Not producing all those, surely not. But... No, it wasn't a fake because he's produced infantry, obviously. But when he sold it like that, I didn't... I assumed he had more, maybe, or something. I don't know what I meant. I didn't know what to make of it, to be fair, but I was trying to find a vulnerability to attack his power plant, but I thought, actually, this group here is a far more effective force because I've got a tank and I've got rocket troops. I've got I've got 5 there so far, soon to be 6 shortly. Yeah, this is the 6th rocket trooper producing, so I've got a far more formidable group of units here than I have here, which are just riflemen led by a sergeant, or an officer or whatever, led by a veteran. So I thought, rather than just throw them into trying to take out a power plant at this point where the enemy's easily going to be able to deal with that, I thought I'd gather a more formidable force and make a better go of it. But as you can see, I'm producing here at my home base, and at this point, because I've got so little, I should be producing base defences, not placing them, but just have one ready to place. And you see, I'm moving into position here, look. I've actually taken my engineer with me, but I'm moving into position, sending another scout. And the enemy, you know, they haven't got that much of a presence anywhere else, so it's not like me being vulnerable is not that much of a problem. I can see this. And I decide to move in with both forces, and my opponent's got to react here. So yeah, there we go. I moved in. I'm using my light tank as a screen, attacking the power plant at the same time. Obviously he can see my men, but now that light tank provided very little screening. It's a big difference compared to the success I had in the last game. But I'm going for this power plant and I got it. So at least I got something. My opponent's in the red for power. So that's, you know, that's something. I could have done with grouping everything and hitting him there. Even trying here and missing. I've got my engineer out alive, but I could have used him to check and then attacked here. That would have been ideal, and it would have finished, perhaps been a final hit against my enemy, a final blow that, you know, would have been too much for them to recover from. Whereas at this point, they're in low power. Let's have a look at our army values. He's ahead now, just. But I should overtake him if he's in low power. But look, I'm hitting him here. That's good. But our army values are 10 to 9. So we're about equal. I had the right idea. Look, I just should have done it sooner. And I've revealed myself. Yeah. Now I should have backed away, but I thought he'd been taking more damage. Now I'm out of screening units now, so this is very bad. So we're at 8.5 to 10 now in army value, so I'm taking losses, but I've realised and I'm trying to recover, fall back and regroup. But I thought if his tanks are up front, I can pick a couple off, you know, as with those units. And if I can remove his screening units, then I've got a chance of stopping him later, I thought. You see, just a nice bit of timing, you can knock out these screening units and it leaves this force unable to attack your base. Now he's got one tank left with that lot, look. So now I can pull back, and with what I've got here, he'd be wrong to attack now. You see, he's smart, he knows not to. That should have told me something, but there again, look, he's going to wipe out 600 credits worth of medics. That's a shame. He shouldn't have done that, because they'd be healing his men now. Not that it doesn't look like they need it. But, you see, I've managed to survive that. But he's at 13 to 8 now, and I continued expanding, look, but I should have put my second war factory here, back and safe, because that was a risk, and I knew it was a risk, but, you know, and there's my machine gun telling me he's expanding there, and our army value is 15 to 10, so he's moving ahead. He's got 50% larger army than me, and this small force has told me he's not expanding there. I should immediately head for this bit, and then this. But with me placing my war factory there, it made me invest in defences here, which is a mistake. I overreached with my expansion. I should have at most placed a refinery and left and regrouped my army here, but because I'd placed this war factory, it made me protect this and just feed in units kind of piecemeal, look, and I blew it. And that was because I wanted to protect this. So placing it there in the first place has basically killed me, like an idiot. So there you go. The tanks I'm producing now are going to be killed and wiped out on their own. These units that went to rescue it have been wiped out pointlessly. My opponent has got a far greater lead now, and I'm going to lose the war factory anyway. And the units I produced in the meantime are wasted. So yeah, that was a bad situation. I overreached and it killed me within a couple of minutes, basically. It was a real shame that, because I thought I'd started well and I had enough aggression to, you know, to stay in the game and even win. It was a shame I did that, but I think looking at this, that was my main issue, was overreaching with the expansions. And even if I had done that, if I'd have done it on this side, I'd have been safe, look, because he's not gone this way, so I'd still have this safe. And I'd have had a front line solid here, and probably even, I could have even won this engagement. So just placing that war factory was what did it, what ruined it for me, because I overextended my expansions, but I could have survived even after doing that, because I could have abandoned a refinery. But because I'd placed a war factory here, it made me want to hold it. So I wasted resources, like throwing good money after bad, basically. I blew it. And we're up to 11 grand to 25, so his lead is just increasing, and I'm expanding too late to other places. So I've blown it. I've got tech, I've got my artillery, because I saw that he had helicopters, I think. Yeah, so I knew I had to immediately respond and build that, which also would have slowed down my starting army value, and my standard army value, by the way. Building tech, that was another nail in the coffin, but I sure did splatter those infantry with that artillery piece. In fact, that tech was a nice investment, a nice timely investment by the looks of it. Quite nice. I didn't realise it splattered so many of his men. But my MCV is still escaping. He's got helicopters moving in though. I don't know how many he's got. Doesn't look like many, but yeah, I've expanded up here. He should be up there now, because I've checked it out. I know it's safe, look. But I'm having to prepare assets to receive an attack here. And he's built up on tanks. He's made the right choice. And these ore trucks fled from there, from here, and went that way. That's why they're coming from there. But they did actually turn up in a timely manner, so that it distracted these guys a little bit. So this attack... Oh, he's got another army moving in with artillery. That's the nail in the coffin. You see, I've got air defences. So I'm learning, because normally I'd be at the mercy of enemy air units, but now I produced tech quickly and got a counter. I think even one of my AA guns actually even destroyed a helicopter here. That may have just happened, but it's a good sign. I'm producing the right assets at the right time. It's just I blew it with overextending and then placing that aggressive war factory. See, I'm expanding up here now, but it's too late. Maybe I should have used all my ore trucks like that weird build someone used on me, and crushed all these and used these behind them. That might have been interesting, actually. I should have thought of that. I thought, what assets have I got? Like, yeah, send 10 ore trucks like my opponent did to me on one game not so long back. Yeah, I've still got that MCV. I've still got that MCV up here. Let's just look at the cash situation. I've got 6 grand, my opponent's got the same, so it's a shame for me to end the game. That's why I'm fighting on in this situation when it looks hopeless, because I've got cash, I've got assets, 2 MCVs, loads of ore trucks, and cash, and I've even got a radar dome, sadly. It's gone now, but like I say, 2 MCVs, plenty of cash, plenty of ore trucks. It's a shame to, I don't want to give up when I've got that, you know? But Tanya's here. She's going to start destroying things. There you go. Demolition of my construction yard. Power plant. This... Oh, I think that was it. By now, I'd probably was typing GG and all that. There you go, look. Yeah. And I've got this left, but... Yeah, it's done with. I would like to have run Tanya over, though. To be fair. But I'll just look at the charts quickly. Yeah, the army graph started well and blew it. I didn't know, like I say, I was up against a good opponent. I had no idea. So, you know, it was, I just blew it basically, not being sharp, not being on form, and not being careful. I overreached and then invested a lot of assets and credits on protecting something that you know, got wasted. There's the combat chart. You can see I got a beating. Support powers, my opponent's about to launch his satellite. He's got a couple of minutes left. Production, yeah, he's still well and truly on the way to building an army. There's the earnings, about the same. He spent a five grand more nearly, but yeah, we've earned about the same. That's okay. Basics, there you go. Actions per minute. 30 to 36, and there's game 2 there for you. So thank you very much for watching that one. I'll move on to a third game because I think hopefully it won't be too long a video.
Battle control initialized.
And this is a 1v1 on Timian map, and I'm using France, of course. My opponent is using England. Let's look at the production as usual, and we'll increase this initial phase just for the oil capture point. And I built an engineer first. this time, and I don't normally do that. I usually send a rifle first. Let's see what my opponent did. He built rifles immediately. Now, that's normally what I'd do, except my first rifleman would go here to protect the engineer, and the engineer would go second, and then these guys start pouring out up here. But this time, I've already captured one. My opponent hasn't captured his own yet, but I've already got one. And my opponent's just started to capture his. There you go, we've got one each. He's just taken his. I'm in the process of capturing my second, but his engineer needs to go back home and take this quickly. There we go, I've got two now. So I've had a couple of extra. Where's his engineer? There it is. So I think he's going for this forward capture. Let's see what happens here, because I always leave guard rifles. Always. And his engineer looks like he's about to run straight into him. Yes, as soon as he enters the view range of that oil derrick. Very nice snipe. Now he's shooting at that. He can't even see this rifle still. See? My rifleman was here. He can't see him. He's hesitant about destroying that by the looks of it. Don't destroy it now because it'll blow up the medics. He's going to finish it off though by the looks of it. No? Yeah, well he took a rocket with it. But yeah, I kept these two alive. He sniped that engineer nicely. But he hasn't taken his home base oil derrick yet. Maybe he's not aware of it. He might not know the map. If I was aware of that, I would have told him. But at this point, I'm busy trying to capture this. But what I wanted to do was not let him see that I had an army here. I wanted him to see my engineer and that's it. He's already got helicopters. But look, he can see one rifleman. He saw one. He can see an engineer. Yeah, he knows I've got a force there. I'm too close. So I'll remember in future that if I want to hide my army, don't let it get that close, because they've got an alright view range, especially up here, look, this little bit. That could reveal some units, but I've taken that from him. Let's look at army value, 6.2 to 6.4, but he's got a helicopter. And he's got no service depot. So that's not good. And I would have been looking at the time at this point and thinking an opponent who expands early can, at about 4.5 minutes, can have an MCV out on the way. And I didn't know what he was doing, so I assumed the standard build, but prepared in case he was going to send an MCV early. That's why these guys are here. But I wasn't expecting a helicopter, because they can see you from a good distance, look. But he went for the tank. That's the last one thing you should go for. Yeah, I'm losing my rocket troops, so I can't take out the helicopters. He's sniping them. Nice. Yeah, I lost everything there. So he's ahead in army value, but his helicopters, he's one helicopter. That's about what? I'm not certain how much they are. 1.5, maybe. Yeah, it's 1.5. So if it's 1.5, he's got a 5.6 value army compared to my 8.3 without his helicopter. Yeah, he's targeting my oil derrick. And because I had air units that I knew I was worried about, I've placed these fake structures and I've expanded here. Instead of placing it here as normal, I've placed it here in the hopes of keeping it hidden. And I've placed some fake structures up front just to provide targets for him to reveal his presence but gain nothing by killing them. And because I'd seen air units, I knew I had to produce tech of my own in response. So I probably would be... I've moved out that look, so he's going up there like my usual route, but I'm probably thinking of a radar dome, because if I've seen helicopters, I'm going to be concerned. Now he's got 2. But he's finally got a service depot, but he's got no tanks. And he's sweeping the area with his helicopters nicely. Did I kill a rifle guard or something, reveal my presence? I didn't think I had. Nope. No, not by the looks of it. And I'm expanding forward aggressively because he's not doing anything to stop me. He's expanding as well, look, going there. And he's killing my rifle guards, but I've struck here. And I've taken out an ore truck. This one's moving to its death. This one is also moving to its death. So that's 3 ore trucks quickly, and he's coming back with his army. I'm reinforcing this in case I have to fall back. There goes his radar tech. And I've got 5 tanks here to screen my army. But he's got artillery. They are very good in defence. If you can hold the enemy back a little bit, artillery are excellent. It makes the enemy tanks focus on them, and, you know, things can go wrong. Look at that. All my tanks have moved to their death because I was trying to screen and thought that he was more vulnerable. So I've had to fall back quickly, and then I'm rallying a defence here. So I'm not, because of what happened there, I'm not aware of the situation properly, of that I've already won this, you know? I wasn't aware of that, so that's why I'm falling back. By seeing no tanks, I should have realised, but you don't know, he might have had his tanks in a group ready to attack somewhere else. That's why I had units defending here. But I didn't get any counter-attack, so I thought, why not expand? But, like I say, just because I didn't see a tank force at the home base doesn't mean there isn't one. But I'm hitting him here. That's a crucial expansion for him because I've already hit his home base. And he's brought his artillery, very nice. Just a single artillery unit, and it's done very well. So now that MCV's trying to escape, look, and my tanks, they're getting picked off trying to follow it, so I thought, right, move away from the infantry, but then double back. And these guys should be running. But let's see. Oh, he escaped. Very nicely done. To double back is often a good idea. But I've got my artillery now. Here we go. And I'm letting my units move forward while my artillery move back. And the enemy are often tempted to rush forward, and then you can move your artillery to safety and keep firing again. There you go, look. This is a bit of force fire, I think, on the ground. Not to a specific target, I'm just opening fire on the ground where I know masses of the enemy are. And now I'm seeing artillery shells firing, coming in, but there you go, GG. So there's the third game. This force had just run through his home base. They just moved back. I've got a base push if I wanted it. So he was doomed at home and his attack had finished. I've got my starting engineer still. But yeah, there you go. There's the third of today's training games for the Allies. I'll just go through the army graph quickly. But it was another brief game. But because it was a brief game and I've actually got tech, I've got artillery, 3 artillery pieces. 2 of them are veterans, so they've had an impact on the game. And it's at 10:33. And I've got the ability to shut down enemy air units. I'm doing a base push. I've done a lot in that time. So I am, you know, I think I'm still improving with allies. That's a good sign for me to have tech at this point with allies is good. There's the earnings graph, the same at the start until, you know, it looks like conflict began and then things changed. I think the first attack was an attack on their home base here, on their eco here, his home base harvesting. So that's why his earnings would have dropped at when combat began, because that was the first thing I hit. Here's my finishing army. Nearly 69 rifles, 18 rockets, so I need to have more. But it's early, so I would have been producing them at 3 or 2 to 1. 7 tanks, 3 artillery, got my engineer still. There's the combat chart. My opponent killed more units, but I got a little more value. Not a lot, because it was a close game. But, you know, he killed more in individual units. I just got more in, excuse me, I just got more in value, but there's no support powers yet. My opponent did have air units, but allies don't get support powers from their air helipads. Soviets get support powers from their airfields, though, so it's different. Well, there's my production. For some reason, I've got... Oh, there's my first helipad. There we go, yeah. Well, that's a good sign. Like I say, it's 10 minutes 33, so for me to have this tech... and also to have had an impact on the battle already, that's a good sign. I'm gaining competence with the allies slowly. So there's the economy tab. A difference in earnings. Actions per minute, 34 from me, 27.5 from my opponent. Well, that's different to usual. And there you go, there's the stats and graphs, etc. And there's the my allied training games for the day.